On track one for you, we're going to have the skaters from South Sea and South Side Derby Dolls duking it out on track one. For the first game of the day, there's stacks of games, stacks of teams going on here all weekend. And we're about half a minute away from Derby. Let's have a quick check through these teams here at the moment. Rolling out for the Sirens this morning. On track one, Bambi, Fizzgig, Catitude Problem, Betty Doom, Goofy, Corky, Slayer, Venus, Flux Decapitator, Bones, Titosaurus, Moody, Luna Shovegood, Snatcher, Smackrabat, and Betty White Trash. And for S2D2, The Force, Whack Russell Terrier, Nasty Noodle, Get Shirty, Hypes, Bionic Bambi, Artemisia, Sparky, Derby Does Damage, Ruby Whipper, Mel Scream, Dom, Thunderslut, Lethal, Catfink, Clusterfrack, and Tequila Shot. And the Rolling Whistle is getting this tournament underway. Looking for a sunny 24 here today in Bendigo. There's plenty of mosquitoes about. You might have seen that on the Facebook page. So welcome to our viewers at home as well. You're getting this stream live on your YouTube channel. So we are trying to get both tracks up onto the stream this morning. If you're watching at home, having a little bit of trouble getting track 2 started at the moment, but it'll come to you sometime during the morning. The skaters lining up on the track, getting ready to kick off for this morning. We've got 000, Whack Russell Terrier, should be jamming for the Force, and Goofy, 542 for the Sirens. Just before we get underway, just the officials having a look at some of the technology, making sure that we're ready to go and bring you some smooth rolling roller derby. But then what would a tournament be without some delays straight off the bat? So thanks to everybody who's here for rocking up nice and early, coming down for the 8:30 start here at the Bendigo Convention Centre at the showgrounds. If you are here for the weekend, don't forget that the markets are on tomorrow, so it might be a little bit trickier to get a park. And for goodness sake, bring your Mozzie repellent. So just to give you the rundown of how the weekend's going to work, we've got pool play coming up for you for today and for half of tomorrow, busting down into the finals as we get down to tomorrow afternoon, and all the grand final action from our 3 pools is all going to happen on Monday.
But then it does catch up there.
So apologies, we're just going to have some technical difficulties while we quickly change over some computers, and we'll get some roller derby happening for you real soon. Meanwhile, if you're Trixie, Eureka Blockade or Wordsmith, if you could make yourself known to me here at the announcing area, that'd be great.
Good, yeah.
Excellent, thank you. Yeah, I think I had a scheduled for a 10:30 start. I had it down for. Good morning. So, I'm not sure exactly how long you guys are going to be before you get a scoring computer back. Okay. So, you'll be delayed until then. I'll try and pop back. Other than that, you guys good?
Yeah.
Okay. Sweet. I haven't even got sponsor sheets or anything because these are your marks here. Yep. All right, and we're underway here in the roller derby on track 1, and straight out of the pack first. Whack Russell Terrier for S2D2 busts out of the pack, and she's your lead jammer. So apologies for the delay. We've had some technology issues this morning. If you're watching at home, you will notice that we don't have scores on the screen. Apologise for that. That's part of those technology issues. We'll get that for you soon. Whack Russell Terrier gets on through the pack, picks up the 4 points and calls it off. So that's the force from South Side with the first points on the board for we head in for our next lineup. It's going to be Fizzgig jamming in the red for the Sirens, and 389 Lethal for S2D2, the Force. And Fizzgig gets on out first. She's the lead jammer. The pack steadies back down around 1 and 2. Reforms at the front. She gets backwards through that front wall, picks up 3 points for the Sirens, and that's their first score on the board. Whack Russell Terrier back on the jammer line for the Force, and Slayer Venus for the Sirens gets on past that pack. She's out in front as the lead jammer. Stationary pack awaits her as she rejoins. Whack Russell Terrier still caught at the back behind that strong red triangle. Looking for a way around the outside now. Slayer Venus caught up at the front. And Whack Russell Terrier finds a way through, gets on out of the pack. She's an initial pass for her. Slayer Venus just being wrapped up at the front here. A couple of these Force blockers having to let her go eventually, and picks up all 5 with a jammer point in that one. Whack Russell Terrier in the pack amongst the points now. Makes her way out clear of the pack, adds 4 for the Force. Slayer Venus, meanwhile, on another scoring pass, makes her way through, another 4 for them as well. So that jam's going to see 9 points added to the Sirens total and 4 to the Force. So the Sirens are currently up 12 points to 8. Calling straight off the line. That's Goofy down low and putting on some speed. She's out of the pack. She hasn't been able to pick up lead. Ruby Whipper gets out of the pack, picks up lead and immediately picks it up. Not willing to concede any points on that one. As the Jam has formed back up on the line. Whack Russell Terrier and Fizzgig behind the line. Full set of skaters in front. Whistle starts the Jam. Not much progress made through the pack straight off. And just straight on the outside. Fizzgig just takes a fall as she busts clear of the pack, but quickly back up again. She is lead. She's going to just try and feed Whack Russell Terrier back into the pack, but she gets hunted down herself. That's To Kill a Shot. Just bringing some O on Fizzgig. She's just keeping a close eye on where that pack is. The pack picks up speed a little bit as they make their way around turns 3 and 4. Moderate pack speed. Nicely formed. The Fizzgig just hits the hips and calls off the Jam before anybody can add any points for that one. That was 78. Debbie Does Damage on the Jammer line for the Force. 69, Corky, jamming for the Sirens. It's Debbie Does Damage out of the pack first. She's the lead jammer, Titosaurus. Opening the account in the penalty box for today. Nasty Noodle joining her now there, so a blocker apiece in the bin. And another one heads off there for the bin as well. It's Ruby Whipper. So leaves the Sirens with the pack advantage on the track at the moment. Debbie Does Damage just coming around again to pick up some more points. Hits the hips. We'll just see if Corky's managed to pick up any points from that last pass as well. And she has. That's 3 apiece for that one. So Goofy and Lethal back behind the line for their respective teams. No pack is called. Both jammers having to recycle behind the blockers. Making some progress through there now, and Goofy makes her way out first, picks up lead. Lethal's clear of the pack now as well. Goofy makes her way through, calls off the Jam. There's a back block just there in the back of the pack there, but Goofy's added 4. The Sirens opened up their lead a little bit now. They're out to 23. The Force sitting on 14. Debbie Does Damage, back jamming for the Force, and Fizzgig one more time for the Sirens. This time it's Debbie Does Damage out first to be lead jammer. A couple of skaters down in the pack. A couple heading off to the penalty box. So 3 Sirens blockers in the bin at the moment, 1 for the Force. Jam comes to an end, and the Force have added 4 for that one. So up to 18 now. Sirens still out in front on 23. 21 and a half minutes left to play in the half. And back to our starting jammers. Whack Russell Terrier and Goofy behind the line. Whack Russell Terrier gets on out first. Nice and quick through that pack. Picks up lead jammer. Goofy squeezes through the middle of a couple now and puts on some speed. Another Sirens blocker heading off to the bin now as well. So Whack Russell Terrier only has the one. Titosaurus trying to make herself as wide as possible at the front of that pack, unable to contain her for long. Whack Russell Terrier adds 4. Quickly through the pack again, picks up 4 more. And Goofy clear now on a scoring pass for the Sirens. Pack comes to almost a standstill, waiting for these jammers to rejoin. And both walls trying to work on preventing their defensive walls from reforming. Just a quick message from the Bendigo Rebellion team as well. The merch is selling out quick, so some sizes have already sold out. If you haven't got your tournament merch yet, get on over to the guys there at the merch desk. Getting quick, in capitals, exclamation mark. And if you didn't pre-order your exclusive merch pack, you missed out on that altogether. But there's still some gear left, so get on over there now. Ruby Whipper jamming for the force, busts on out of the pack, takes it around to past turn 2 before she can do so. But she is lead jammer, still some argy-bargy happening in the pack here. Ruby Whipper amongst the pack and on a scoring pass now. She'll see how many she can get past. Catitude problem has wound up with the star for the Sirens, receiving that star pass from Slayer Venus. Unable to add any points though. Ruby Whipper adds 4 more. So brings it to within 1 point now. The force on 33, the Sirens just 1 in front on 34. So behind the line, we've got Lethal and Fizzgig. And Fizzgig it is first, shoulders away through that pack. Busts away through our defence and picks up lead. Pack reforming. Cluster frack for the force is heading off to the penalty box. There was an illegal procedure at the start of that jam. But this pack is running away now. The forced blockers at the front trying to pick up the speed of this pack. The Sirens blockers having to keep up. Just doing their best to try and contain one there and slow that pack down. Unable to do so. And it ends in a no-point jam. Tequila shot and Goofy behind the line. Goofy steps on down the inside and even before the pivot line she picks up lead jam for the Sirens and takes off around the track. Tequila shot out of the pack now, making her way around, but the pack spreads right out. Tricky to define, but Goofy has picked up 4 points. And a quick pack now down at turn 2. Tequila shot, unable to pick up any points for that one. Goofy's going to call it on off. We're going to have a timeout called by the force. If you haven't had a look at the trophies yet here at the venue, at the Bendigo Convention Centre, they're on display over at the door where you come in and buy all your merch and show your wristbands. Go and have a look at the trophies. They're looking pretty awesome. Trophies for all 3 divisions on display down there. Buy some merch while you're there. The Bendigo Rebellion 2016 limited edition Skate with Force merch. And we've got some leagues starting to set up their merch tables down at the other end of the pavilion here as well as some vendors. So go and say hi, see what's around, buy your gear. And there's food vans. I see coffee. There's a food van over there in the venue as well. Baked potatoes, that'll all be happening later in the day as well. So that's all right here. If you're sitting at home, we're currently in a timeout with called by S2D2, the Force. Currently trailing by 5. They're on 33. The Sirens are on 38 with just over 16 and a half minutes left to play in the first half. We get back underway in the derbies. Whack Russell Terrier and Fizzgig doing the jamming for their respective teams. One in and one out of the penalty box for the Sirens. Fizzgig is the lead jammer, makes her way through the pack. She was going to pick up 4 points for that one. Whack Russell Terrier currently contained in the pack, just the 3 blockers on track for the Sirens, holding her up nicely at the moment. Get some assistance now. Whack Russell Terrier out of the pack. And adds 4 for the Force. Oh, and a bit of jammer on jammer there as Fizzgig comes around. Just tries to push her off on the apex, but nicely held on the outside there. And she's going to call off the jam. The Sirens ended up with 4 more from that one. They're out on 46, the Force on 37. We're back underway in the red, 69 Corky. Jamming for the Sirens, and 07 Ruby Whipper for the Force. No one yet made it through the pack. But Corky just makes her way around the outside there, picks up lead jammer. And Corky just pushed off her on the outside here. Able to come back in legally. Ruby Whipper's out of the pack now. But Corky's picked up 4 points. Those fingers go in the air. She's just looking for some direction for the bench as to when she should call it off. And she does so, but not before the Force have added 3. If you're watching at home, the Sirens now out to a 10-point lead, 50-40. Still working on getting those scores on the screen for you. This way, Whack Russell Terrier jamming for the Force. Has picked up a cut track penalty. She's headed off to the penalty box, which means that Goofy's going to have a power jam. But she's currently wrapped up in the pack. Betty Doom just heading off to the bin for her forearms as well. Goofy out of the pack now, has picked up lead jammer. And she's getting the indication from her spotters around the track that it is a power jam for her. So a rack of 4 blockers in front of Goofy there at the moment. Has to let it go though. She's picked up 5 more, grabs the jammer point for that one. She works on extending that Sirens lead. Catitude problem heading around the outside to the penalty box now as well. So a 4-2 pack advantage to the Force here at the moment. Goofy makes her way around and sits down in the penalty box for a cutting the track penalty, which means that Whack Russell Terrier back on track now. She isn't lead, but she has got a power jam, so she's picking up points as she goes. She's able to step under that last block there. Picks up 5 more. Closing that gap there for the Force. They're to within 5 now. And a big hit down at the back of the pack there for Whack Russell Terrier. Betty Doom's going to head off to the penalty box for it. Goofy's back on track now. The jam comes to an end. 4 more added for the Force and 3 more for the Sirens. Brings it to within 4 points. 54-58 in favour of the Sirens here. Just under 12 minutes left to play in the first half. As we jump back in now, looks like Fizzgig and Ruby Whipper going to be taking the jam for this one. Ruby Whipper, number 07 for the Force, out first, picks up lead jammer. Fizzgig out of the pack now as well. And with some speed into the pack there now. Skaters going down all over the place. Ruby Whipper gets out of the pack and she's added 4 for the Force. Momentarily have no pack. Fizzgig chucks on 4 for the Sirens as well. All right, we're going to have an official review. KP's just going to go and ask some questions about what happened in that last jam. All right, and welcome to the commentary conversation this morning for Trixie.
Hi.
So we've had a couple of delays already this morning. We're going to have an official review now, but we haven't got scores on our stream at the moment. So if you're watching at home, the Sirens are out in front on 62. The Force not far behind. They're just on 58. Just over 10 minutes left to play, and we've just had a start over on track 2 as well. So we're going to try and get that stream up and running for you real soon too. I tell you what, Trixie, it's a beautiful day here in Bendigo. The sun's shining. There's plenty of mosquitoes around.
I made the mistake of sleeping in a shed last night and am completely attacked by the mosquitoes.
Yeah, they've been merciless. I think there is some mozzie repellent floating around, and I'm sure some people will be heading off to the supermarket to pick up some more.
I'm wondering, are you able to invest in like stocks in Aerogard?
I think we'll need to get enough to cover everyone here this weekend.
That's how we'll make our money.
Yeah, so we've got
So this looks like the Force's official review?
This is the Force's official review, yep. KP's called this one. I don't know what they're asking about. Someone should come and let us know. And then we can let you know.
It looks like we've got the pivot over there. Also team captain, Lethal, having a bit of a word with the team benchy, KP.
For sure.
I'm not used to house, so this is terrifying.
You can hear yourself booming out on these speakers. We're going to the stream as well, so hi at home. We are working on getting the score overlay back up. It was working this morning before we started, but then since we started, it stopped working.
We're about 3 minutes into our official review. And do we have sponsors we should be thanking?
We have heaps of sponsors. The City of Greater Bendigo, they're our hosts here this weekend, letting us use this lovely facility here at the Bendigo Showgrounds, the Bendigo Convention Centre. Skate Victoria, we wouldn't be able to put the tournament on without those guys. Samurai AV, providing all of the AV equipment for us here in the venue.
It was due to a lack of back block and penalty stands. So on the teal blocker, so there was a lack of a call on the back block. So it hasn't turned over. It stayed as no penalty.
So it looks like that was a penalty call. That was an official review called by Southside to try and get a penalty for one of the Sirens blockers. The penalty was denied, and the official review is lost.
Yeah, and I'm just hearing that we've now got another official review called by the Sirens. So we've gone from a blue official review to a red official review. And of course I should mention our hosts here this weekend as well. Dragon City Derby, the Bendigo Roller Derby League, the Chico Rollers, they'll be skating here this weekend as well.
I have been trying to get a Chico Rollers shirt for over a year now. They are my favorite team. I've never seen them play. I just really like Chico Rolls. And I saw their logo at Derby Fest last year and have been trying with all my might to try and bribe some Victorian people to send me merch.
Nice. We might just see some here this weekend. They've got the merch set up down at the end there.
If anyone wants to buy me a shirt,
go
hit
say
me
hey
up.
when you get a break.
I came here with the whole, I will not buy any merch. I have too much merch at home.
Rubbish, you won't buy any merch.
Yeah, the
We
second I got here,
always
I
buy
went,
the merch.
second I got here, I went, so how much is that patch?
Yeah, the patches are pretty special.
Another official review. They were asking for a lack of skating out of bounds call on a teal jammer. So no penalty on that. So
Okay, so the flip side official review, that was called by the red team. That was called for appealing the lack of skating out of bounds call on the teal jammer, and that will also be upheld, so no penalty will be applied. So get back underway with the skating real shortly, I'm sure. That's what I call, Trixie, getting all rulesy. Some of the people watching at home will probably understand it a lot better than what I do.
So now I want to run my idea by you because it's my favorite idea ever.
Shoot.
I want to get a bunch of people who've never seen roller derby before. I want to give them a list of all of the weird terms that we use, like eat the baby and like peg assist and stuff. I want to give them a list of that and make it like, what's the game? I can't think of it. I want to try and get people who've never seen it to try and call a game using all of those words when they have no definitions.
Yep.
When you think it's appropriate, tell
That'd be
us they're
fun.
eating the baby.
That'd be fun to watch. You'd video it. The looks of confusion. They'd match my looks of confusion sometimes.
I also think we could get them to rename like the jammer and the pivot and stuff.
All right, I'm just about to get back underway over here. Got Goofy lining up for the Sirens, and that's 78. Debbie does damage for the Force. And the jam gets back underway. Goofy pushes her way around the outside, gets down low and puts on some speed, picks up a lead jammer as she makes her way around turn 1. Debbie does damage, just caught up in the back of the pack there at the moment. And Goofy's made it through, picks up all 5.
Bams takes a bit of a spill there, picks herself right back up. It's number 34, Bams. Is it 34?
Debbie does damage, just heads off to the penalty box. So that's going to give Goofy the control of a power jam. So she gets through and picks up 5 more. This time barely any resistance as Goofy makes her way, ducks down on the inside, gets past that remaining 3 defenders there in teal. Just looking for some offensive support from her blockers now, and that's forthcoming. Takes those blockers out of play at the front, and 5 more. Or is it 4? No, 5 more. 20-point jam so far for Goofy.
Sirens definitely extending that lead by quite a bit. I haven't seen a lot of the Sirens skating before, but what I have, I've never been disappointed. I also will say they have some of the comfiest merch I've ever bought.
Comfy merch? That's important.
I judge teams solely on how good their merch is. So, South Sea Roller Derby, I wear your shirt to bed most nights, and it's the best.
It must be super comfy. So 5 more points added to the board by Goofy there. She calls it off, and that's a 29-point jam there for Goofy for the Sirens. Takes them out to 91, and the Force on 62. Just over 8.5 minutes left to play in the half.
Black Russell Terrier coming up against the Sirens jammer. Sorry? Fizzgig.
Fizzgig just being cycled back to the back. But Whack Russell Terrier picked up lead jammer a few times in this game. Effective on getting through those packs on an initial pass, but Fizzgig
Whack does a sweet little hop over the apex, doesn't quite land it perfectly, but it was a very sweet sort of leap. Very dainty.
Hasn't quite landed it successfully though, so she headed off for a cut track, which releases Fizzgig from the box, and she makes her way back.
Tay recycling Fizzgig as far back as she physically can go.
Fizzgig firmly into those teal blockers, just strings them out at the front. Clusterfuck just has to let her go. But having that penalty, she isn't lead jammer. So this will be a long one.
Clusterfuck sent off to the penalty box. Clusterfuck, I will say, is a very safe skater. She's always a very controlled skater, and I'm always surprised when I see her going off to the box. Both teams coming around for 4 points. Keeping
both
that
jammers
score.
re-entering the pack almost simultaneously. Those Force blockers doing a nice job of bridging out at the front, but have to let Fizzgig go eventually. Picks up 4.
I appreciated the little nudge that Hart gave Fizzgig. It was kind of just a, nah, I don't think you'll skate there. Just go.
Whack Russell Terrier with some strong 1-foot skating around the outside line there, able to hold it on the inside. Jam comes to an end. 4 more added for the Force for that one. So it takes the Sirens over the 100-point mark. They had a 13-point jam there. Then they're on 104. The Force a little bit of work to do. They're on 71 at the moment.
Ruby Whipper out like the speed of 1,000 cats, calls it lead. I'm trying to get that phrase to be a thing, with the speed of 1,000 cats.
We'll work on it over the weekend.
Yeah.
Got heaps of games of roller derby to get that underway. Slayer Venus now out of the pack as well. That's an initial for her. She'll make her way back around for a skating pass. Ruby Whipper just pushed to the outside on the back straight, forced to yield behind a couple of blockers. Slayer Venus adds 4 and Ruby Whipper makes her way out and adds 4 more and calls it off before Slayer can get back to the pack. On both these tracks here this weekend, the jam start line is on the opposite side of the track from the team areas, making them skate around the long way to get to their starting spots.
I was wondering about that. I'm actually very excited. I've always wanted to see a game like that, so.
Yeah, Goofy jamming for the Sirens. She gets it nice and early, picks up a lead. The penalty box is sporting a couple of forced blockers and 1 for the Sirens. So it's a light pack out here, 3-2 advantage to the Sirens.
Seeing a lot of fantastic offense from the Sirens. They're a very effective pack.
Absolutely. Whack Russell Terrier just gets nudged out on the outside of turn 2. Has to yield a few metres. Goofy's picking up some points meantime, adds 4 more to the Sirens total.
Sirens having cracked that 100 mark. I didn't even seem to notice that. This is a PG game and it is early in the morning, so everyone take a sip of orange juice.
Goofy makes it through for another scoring pass and is rejoining at the back. She's going to have enough with that one. She'll have 2 from that last pass. So it's a 15-point pass for the Sirens on 123 and a 4-point jam for the Force on 79.
Ruby Whipper up to jam again, up against 3-0-1 Fizzgig.
Fizzgig steps past her own wall at the back and quickly engages with the Force wall at the front. Couple to get past and she does so.
Fizzgig sent off to the box. This means it is a power jam for Ruby Whipper and she wastes no time. She picks up lead and she calls it off. Icing Fizzgig in the box. Ruby looking very pleased with herself as she skates off. And comes back again for some more.
Yeah, so it'll be a power start for the Southside Force. Fizzgig starting this one in the penalty box. Ruby Whipper, the only jammer on track, quickly steps around the inside and picks up lead. She's not going to wait around, just wants to get out and get the points.
Ooh.
They're being held up in the pack at the moment. Just gets a whip around the outside of Bams. Picks up the 5 points. It's a Ruby Whipper for the Force. Fizzgig out of the box and back on the track now. Just dodges a down skater at the back. Looks like to kill a shot.
Ruby makes it through for another 4 points. Nice, neat 9-point jam for the Force.
And Corky jamming for the Sirens. And Debbie does damage for the Force. Just taken out on the outside by Betty Doom, which Betty Doom picks up a penalty for, and Debbie does damage, is able to step back on the track and picks up lead.
Pile up with some of the skaters on the track.
Neat stack of skaters down here at turn 3. Yeah, Corky survives that last push on the outside. Gets clear of the pack for an initial pass. Got a Force add 4 for that one as they call it off. And we're going to go in to a halftime break with the Sirens in the lead on 123.
That is the shortest halftime break I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, because of our delays at the start of the game, we're going to have a short halftime. We'll be back in about 7 minutes. See you real soon. And we've had the rolling whistle back on track 1 to get the roller derby back underway for the second half. As we get underway, the Force have got a little bit of work to do. They're about 30 points behind on 92. The Sirens out in front on 123. Half hour left to go in this one. Still working on our technical problems here at the moment, so we haven't got a stream for track 2 at the moment. Really sorry about that. And we also haven't got scores overlaid on track 1 here right now. Trixie, did you buy merch in halftime?
I didn't actually. I'm trying to have some self-control. And also, my theory is if I wait until the last day, maybe it'll be cheaper.
All sold out.
That too. Buy merch now, everybody. Do it. Except the patches. Hands off.
Don't forget, if you're here at the convention centre this weekend, make sure you pick up your merch pre-orders.
Sorry, I just want to. What was the score?
So Goofy with the lead for the Sirens, gets sails on through, makes her way past some more blockers, picks up 5. Jammer in the pack there as well. There's a star pass for the Force. Tequila shot, ending up with the star.
Tay putting on the jammer panty for Southside, but not getting a chance to score any points yet.
As we get lined up for our next jam. Who's that on the jammer line? It's Debbie Does Damage and Fizz Gig.
Up against Deb Does Damage.
Deb,
the
is it?
Southside.
And just one in the bin for the Sirens.
Sirens defensive wall, fantastic. Even their last line of defense just does not let people through. But Deb does it somehow. She picks up lead jammer for Southside. Maybe this is the comeback they have been waiting for.
She hits the pack and calls it off. Picks up 3 for the Force. The Sirens held to 0 for that jam.
Ruby Whipper up against somebody. The Sirens jammer, that is number 75, Slayer Venus.
And Ruby Whipper just heading off to the penalty box.
I will say this, the South Island Sirens, the Sirens, whoever they may be, they have a very appropriate uniform for any Sailor Moon references, and I'm on board.
It's a hard one to announce. It's South Sea Roller Derby and Southside Derby dolls. It's all the Souths.
I will also say South C has a typo. It says South D here.
So it's like S1D3.
I read the, no, it should be S2RD with S2D2.
Slayer Venus clear of the pack, picks up 5 with a jammer point in there. One heading off to the bin for the Sirens. Jam comes to an end. Ruby Whipper unable to add more. The Sirens add a couple more. They're out on 142 now. Oh, they might add a couple more. And the Force on 95. We're going to have an official timeout.
I will say one of the most confusing things in roller derby is just all of the acronyms, because there's only so many fun things you can do with RG and RD and RDU.
If you're watching at home, they've just gone into half-time on track 2. That's the Chico Rollers taking on Canberra Roller Derby League. Chico Rollers on 27. Canberra out in front on 157. They're just in half-time on track 2. We are working on getting that stream up for you as well. Back here on track 1, Goofy, number 542, in the red for the South Sea Roller Derby Sirens.
Are they the same as the South Island Sirens, or is that a different one?
Nah, different team.
Huh.
And
Whoops.
00 Whack Russell Terrier in the teal for South Sea Derby Dolls.
South Side Derby Dolls.
South side. See?
South Side, Strong Side. South
told
Sea,
you- I
Strong
told
Side
you I-
doesn't have the same ring to it.
I was up front. I told you I was going to get that wrong all day. Whack Russell Terrier causes a pile-up on her way through the pack, but picks up the 5. And Bionic Bambi just taking herself off the track at the back. Have done herself a mischief in that last stack, but Goofy just stopping to pick up the star, which was on the floor. And then she can re-engage with the pack. Just a big hit to the inside for her. She has to yield a long way.
Whack coming up against Betty Doom.
You can just see the St John's ambulance guys heading over just to make sure she's okay. Meanwhile, the jams come to an end. That takes the force over the 100-point mark. That was a 12-point jam for those guys. They're on 107.
Woo!
And the Sirens on 144. Held scoreless for that jam.
I'd like to say I'm not biased, but that would be a really big lie.
We cheer on the inside. That's Ruby Whipper jamming for the force. And Fizzgig for the Sirens. Nobody yet through the pack. Oh, and as I say that, Fizzgig jumps out through the front between the last couple of blockers, picks up lead.
Ruby Whipper having that beautiful speed skating stance. She's so graceful.
Gets down low and gets the arms moving.
Yeah.
Helps with the momentum and the balance and puts on the speed. Just as she rejoins the pack, the pack picks up a bit of speed. The Sirens just taking a triangle out the front, trying to hold her.
I think you'll find it's called a diangle, a defensive triangle. We're trying to make that a thing as well.
Right, a diangle. Okay, I'm all over that.
Yep, the defensive triangle, the diangle. So if you're ever calling a game in Sydney, that's a thing.
A stationary pack. Neither of these jammers making any progress through at the moment. Sirens jammer she's going to drag those defenders out as far as she can. They're bridging away, out of play at the front there eventually, and Fizzgig gets on through, picks up 5 more. Ruby Whipper, meantime, has headed off to the penalty box. So it's a power jam now for the Sirens. They'll be able to work on building that lead up a little bit more. Multiplayer block there issued to Deb does damage. She'll head off to the penalty box where she'll start the next jam because this one's finished. But the Force just add 4 at the end of that one. There's a 19-point jam for the Sirens. Takes them to 163 and the Force on 111.
We're still with only, we have got 21 minutes left in this game. The Force definitely could make that up in that time, but whack up against number 6'9", Corky. She makes it out as lead jammer. Whack still having a little bit of trouble with the red pack.
Pack picks up a bit of momentum as Corky gets back amongst it. Whack Russell Terrier out on an initial now. Corky completed a scoring pass for 4. And that was a heavy impact down here in the front. Both jammers coming out the worst for that one. Whack Russell Terrier a little bit slow to get herself up. That looked like it hurt, and she's picked up a low block penalty for it as well.
Bit of suggestion from the Sirens bench. A lot of enthusiastic suggestion from the Sirens bench, actually.
Gentle encouragement.
Yeah.
You might have heard it at home. Corky just dodges that last run out the front. That was cross to frack, trying to chase her down. But she gets on through and picks up the 5. And the Sirens blockers in with some offensive support and effectively sweeping those blockers out of the way. And that was a quick 5 for Corky that time through.
So I don't actually know this. Where are the South Sea Roller Derby Sirens from?
From the south side of Melbourne. They're a Melbourne team.
Ah.
Clusterfrack heading back off to the penalty box. Whack Russell Terrier back on track meantime. He's picked up 4 points. But Corky's going to call it off. That's enough points for her, she says. There's a 19-point jam for the Sirens. They're at 182 now. The Force on 115.
Sirens getting just that little bit closer to the 200 mark. Deb putting on the star for Southside up against, that looks like Goofy, but I could be wrong. Is it Goofy? Mm-hmm. Yes.
Goofy's just taking that defence out at the front. The teal blockers bridging on out, but she makes her way past them and picks up lead. Looks like that jam's just been called dead for possibly an injury on the track. So don't forget, if you are here in the convention centre, we've got all our vendors down here to have a look at. Health Haven Bendigo are here as well. They're doing massages. You can head on over there for $10 for a 10-minute massage. FPOS is available.
I know where I'll be heading after this game. To the next game I'm calling.
If the last couple of years are anything to go by, his booking sheet will fill up quickly. All right.
Deb?
We're okay. Deb does the damage. Not doing any damage that time.
She makes a graceful sort of bow as she exits this track.
That was lovely. So with just under 18 minutes left to play in this game, the Force currently trailing the Sirens, 115 to 182. We are in a timeout, but that will end shortly.
The bugs are in full force down here in Bendigo.
It's Mosquito City over here. This is the Bendigo Rebellion. Day one, we're only in game one. Heaps still to go.
Who we got coming up next? This is a genuine question
On
because I
track
don't know.
one, we've got Murder City and Knockway River, which is the combination of Otway, Murray River and Northeast Roller Derby.
Cool.
We're back underway here. Fizzgig jamming 301 for the Sirens and 07 Ruby Whipper in the teal for the Force. Fizzgig's out of the pack on a scoring pass.
Bit
picked
of
up some
jammer on
points.
jammer action.
And she's just calling for her blockers to come up and reabsorb Ruby Whipper back into the pack. So some tiring work for the jammers on track at the moment. Fizzgig through for another scoring pass. Picks up 5 that time. Grabs the jammer point from that one.
It looks like there's a slightly slippery patch on that that fourth turn right there. I've seen a couple of people just kind of skid ever so slightly.
Another quick 5 added by Fizzgig for the Sirens. Ruby Whipper just facing down that formidable side of Betty Doom at the front of the pack. Just gets pushed
Pretty
to the
sure that's
outside.
Betty White trash, actually. A lot of Bettys.
It's all about the Bettys. We've got both jammers yielding side by side down here, down the back straight at the moment. Fizzgig just looks for a way around the outside. Manages to get past the last of the blockers at the front. And I've got to say, Ruby Whipper looks like she's doing it tough, this jam. And Fizzgig's going to call the jam off.
It looks like the Sirens have officially cracked the 200 mark with that 24-point jam. They are now sitting on 206 to the Force's 119.
Just about halfway through the second half of this game. And we're in a team timeout. So while we haven't got a dedicated stream, we can zip across and have a look at what's happening on track 2 at the moment. Chico Rollers got the work to do over there. They've got 28 points, currently trailing Canberra Roller Derby League, the Betamax on 159. So if you are watching at home, and I know there's a few of you, we are having some technical difficulties here this morning. So we haven't got scores for you right at the moment, and we are working on getting the streams up and running properly. Wouldn't be a roller derby tournament without technical difficulties. We had a late start because a computer wouldn't work.
It's a learning process. Every game you learn something new about what not to do.
The rolling whistle has ended the timeout back here on track 1. The skaters making their way back to the starting positions. Going to have Whack Russell Terrier and Slayer Venus doing the jamming work for their respective teams. And we're back underway here on track 1. And this time, Whack Russell Terrier puts on the speed, ducks around the inside, picks up lead jammer for the Force. Ooh. Slayer Venus dishes one out and then cops a big hit to the inside, able to re-enter legally. A Whack Russell Terrier around the outside this time. Survives the rundown and picks up the points. Spread out pack awaits her. The force blockers just able to mix up that defence a little bit there. Oh, and a big hit to the outside there. Whack Russell Terrier on the end of a big shoulder to the outside of the track on turn 2 from catitude problem.
The Sirens are so excited this early in the morning. I wish I could muster that kind of excitement and enthusiasm.
That last jam for the Force, they added 8 points, brings them up to 127. The Sirens still out in front on 210. And straight off the line, Goofy is down in the middle of that pack there, along with Nasty Noodle, with some recycling happening. How far back are both of these jammers going to come? But Goofy jumps around the last couple of blockers, pops out the front of the pack. She's your lead jammer. And 5 points added to the Sirens from that scoring pass. The jammer point in there as well. Ruby Whipper tied up in that pack at the moment. Titosaurus just taking her out on the inside. And Bambi taking her back a couple of more metres. Goofy, meanwhile, adds another 5-point pass.
Another 5 in the sky for Goofy. We are now looking at a 15-point jam so far. There, it looks like there is no stopping yet. Lethal makes it out of the pack.
That was a star pass for the Force in there as well. Lethal ending up with the star from Ruby Whipper, who started with it. A 17-point jam for the Sirens. 227, 100 points exactly in front of the Force. 12 and a half minutes left to play. This tournament has been structured, each of the 3 divisions has 2 pools, and there'll be positional playoffs, so it means that the first place in each pool at the end of pool play will play off in the grand final. The 2 second place teams will play off, and the third place teams will play off. Well, that'll all shake down tomorrow. Meanwhile, back on the track, Fizzgig for the Sirens is jamming. She's out. Already completed an initial and picks up a forearms penalty on that scoring pass, so she'll head round the long way. And take a seat in the penalty box. The Deb Does Damage is the jammer for the Force. Just taken out on the outside of turn 2, forced to yield a couple of metres, but importantly restart that progress through the pack. The Force blockers there just trying to prevent that 4 wall from reforming, but that's 3 blockers at the front doing an effective job of containing that Teal jammer at the moment. Fizzgig back out of the bin and has completed a scoring pass and picks up 4. Deb's handed off the star to Clusterfrack, who's pulling that on now. Fizzgig holding the balance on that outside line, survives that hit and picks up some more points. Only 3 that time through.
I mean, I'm chuffed. I love watching Clusterfrack jam.
I've been looking forward to announcing Clusterfrack all week.
She's one of the first people I ever saw play roller derby, and one of those names that just made me go, I want a roller derby name.
So 12 points added for the Sirens. They're on 239, the Force on 131, 10 minutes left to play. If the technology worked, you'd be able to see that at home.
Instead, you can listen to the soothing sounds of our voice and just trust us. As someone short-sighted who left their glasses in Sydney, I shouldn't be trusted to relay important facts.
Corky, number 69 for the Sirens, is jamming, and she's quickly past all the defenders. Picks up lead jammer. Whack Russell Terrier jamming for the Force, clear of the pack as well. A full set of blockers on the track waiting for them. Corky hits the pack with some momentum, and 1 point apiece.
There is a 108-point difference in the game. We do have 9 minutes left. It's not impossible for Southside to catch up.
It's happened before. Behind the jammer line over there. Looks like we've got Deb Does Damage and Goofy doing the jamming. An empty penalty box means that all the blockers are on track in front of them. Straight off the line, there's a back block issued on someone. Attitude problem heading off to the penalty box. Goofy's out of the pack and in amongst the scoring, on a scoring pass for her now. She's lead jammer. Picks up 5, overtaking the jammer in that pack as well.
It's really interesting seeing Goofy skate. Definitely a very particular style. Not a lot of toe stop use, which I see a lot of people do. There's a lot of just lateral movement and really strong edges, and it's definitely paying off.
Yeah, and then when she spots that hole, she can put on the speed to really squeeze through it as well. And we've had another star pass by the Force here too. So lethal once again ending up with the star on the receiving end of that helmet cover pass.
Lethal is one of very few skaters that you can spot without being able to see the jersey because of the socks. Never seen her play a game without those socks.
And we're going to have an official review.
Called by the Force.
These guys will have a bit of a look. While this official review is going on, let's just pop next door and have a look what's happening on track 1.
I wonder if we'll see the 2 reviews in a row again. Should we go take a look at the other track while we've got some time?
Scores on track 2 at the moment. The Vice City Betamax are on 191. The Chico Rollers are on 31. Canberra in their green colours and the Chico Rollers in their red and black. They're our host league. So as we're in an official review here at the moment on track 1, you're just seeing some vision of the Chico Rollers and the Vice City Betamax on track 2. We're just about to cross back over onto track 1 and get back underway. So Ruby Whipper will be doing the jamming for the Force on track 1 over here, and Fizzgig for the Sirens. We've got just over 7.5 minutes left to play. The Force got the work to do, 132, trailing the Sirens on 252. And the whistle gets the jam back on for us. Fizzgig busts on out first. She's the lead jammer. Ruby Whipper not far behind. Pack just resets and waits for them to join. The Force block is braced at the front. Fizzgig instrumental in taking Ruby Whipper out on the inside of the track, but she's picked up a forearms penalty in doing so.
That's a cut track issued for Deb Does Damage, number 78.
So again, we see those Sirens blockers just rolling really quickly around in front of the Force jammer. Just when she thinks she's clear of the pack, there's another blocker in front of her to get past. This time she's up on the toe stops on the outside, but unable to hold onto that line as she's taken out outside on turn 2.
Southsea has an exceptionally strong pack and a lot of really good pack awareness. It's really great to see such fantastic skaters, especially for a team that I think I've only ever seen once. Have I seen them? They were at TGSS, right? Yes.
Fizzgig back on track now. And through for a scoring pass. She picks up 5 for that one. Jammer point amongst them. Spread out pack. Fizzgig sails through it again. Another 5 for red. Couple at the front there for the Sirens. Lethal ended up with that star helmet cover after the star pass. Didn't have time to get it on before the jam was called.
Whack putting on the star for Southside, up against, you're closer. Is that Slayer Venus?
And nobody starting the penalty box at the start of this jam. So those jammers have all of the blockers to get past on track. They make their way down around turns 1 and 2. Slayer Venus squeezes out of the pack first, picks up a lead jammer. Whack Russell Terrier just leaning into those blockers on the outside of the turn there. Getting some offensive support there and able to clear the pack now. Four points added to the Sirens. Again, Whack Russell Terrier looking for a way around the outside. Cuts it to the inside, puts on the speed and steps on across the inside of those defenders.
Got some shout outs on the YouTube page, it looks like. I'm pretty sure that was Sugar Hits, number 555, saying Southside, strong side.
Four more points added by Slayer Venus to the Sirens. Lethal coming in for a big hit, trying to take it to the inside, which pushes her into the back of one of the other blockers, and she picks up a back block penalty. So that looks like star pass for Teal, and Nasty Noodle has ended up with the jammer cover. And Nasty Noodle having a jam for the force. Only a couple blockers to get past, a big hit to the outside. Catitude problem taking her on the outside of 3 and 4. Just under 3 minutes left to play. 146 the force, and the South Sea Sirens out on 279.
Deb does damage, putting on the star for looks like one of the last jams of the game.
Yeah, down to the pointy end of it now. A couple of blockers heading off to the penalty box around the outside, and some making their way back onto the track.
This is Deb's chance to make herself lead.
But still some strong defence there from those Sirens blockers at the moment. Unable to find a way through that pack.
Tequila shot the last line of defense for Southside as Slayer Venus makes it out of the box and still manages to get herself lead.
Luna, the only blocker out on track there for the Sirens at the moment, trying to make herself as wide as possible. Deb clear of the pack now as well, as we end up with all 4 of our red blockers back on track. Now there's only a couple for the force.
Bams and Ruby Whipper still managing to make a pretty decent 2-person wall, but not enough to stop the Sirens from picking up another 4 points, getting closer and closer to that 300 mark with only 1 minute and 14 seconds left in this game. Can they do it?
Deb just taken to the outside of the track. She's a little bit slow to get herself up. It is the tail end of a tough game of Derby. This time Slayer Venus out on the inside. Deb does damage, just heading off to the penalty box for a cut track penalty. So Tequila just getting a hit on Slayer Venus at the end of that one. The jam comes to an end. There's a 22-point jam for the Sirens. Takes them over the 300-point mark, so they're on 301, and the Force on 148, having added 2 for that jam. So with 9 seconds left on the clock, we're going to an official timeout. Gives us a chance to switch next door and have a look what's happening with the Chico Rollers and the Vice City Betamax. Those guys are into their last 10 minutes of the game. Chico Rollers on 44 and Vice City Betamax on 236.
I think this is the first game I've ever announced that wasn't run by Down Under Dirty, so I'm like, whoa, this is so different. Like, I don't understand what's going on.
I can hear myself in speakers.
I don't even wear the headphones because I don't like to hear myself.
Yeah. All right, so we're just having a look at track 2 on the screen at the moment. Chico Rollers and Vice City Betamax. We're in the middle of an official timeout on track 1. And the rolling whistle has ended that timeout. Let's cut back to track 1, see what's happening over here. 5:42 Goofy jamming for the Sirens, and it's going to be a power start as Ruby Whipper is starting in the penalty box.
Dab does damage
not-
sitting in the box over there.
Yep, sorry, I saw the 7, got excited. Looked at the first 7 I could find. But Goofy taking the last jam for the Sirens. She's out for, and she's the lead jammer. The pack comes and reforms down at turns 1 and 2. Big offensive push there from the red blockers. Opens the way for Goofy to get on through. Picks up all 5.
Hoping to capture some of the enthusiasm of all of the South Sea team. They have some fantastic camaraderie. It's great to see.
Goofy ducks down under that outside push from Lethal. Picks up 4 more. Deb does damage back on track, making her way through the pack. This time having to yield behind Fizzgig. Goofy pushing and pushing. Picks up 5 more points with the jammer point involved there as well. And Goofy just skates around those blockers at the front there. Picks up 5 more.
Already on a 19-point jam.
Deb does damage, just having to yield back a couple more spots. The Sirens with the pack disadvantage at the moment, just the 3 blockers on track, but it's not slowing Goofy down at all. And Lethal pulls on that star cover, having received the star pass again. And Goofy just receiving word to call. And Lethal celebrating the 3 points she's jagged at the end of that one. And that's going to be our unofficial final. 24 points, that jam from Goofy.
26,
No,
28.
I'm wrong. 28 points, that jam from Goofy. Takes the South Sea Sirens out to 329. And they're your victors today over S2D2, the Force, on 151. And that's how the first game of this whole tournament is going to end for you today, folks.
It's been an absolute pleasure calling it with you.
Thanks, Trixie. We're going to take a break now and come back with the stream just as soon as we can. Hopefully we'll work on some of these technical problems. Back with you real soon.